Think positive.
Welcome back to the Ghoul Ambrose podcast, GA for short. I'm your host, Prince. This is a space for inner work, self-improvement, self-discovery, mindset, accountability, integrity, reflection, and personal development. This podcast is built for growth, for honesty, and for becoming a better version of yourself, one day at a time. New episodes drop every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Today's episode is called On Track. What's going through your mind? Sometimes there's a lot going through your mind, and you don't really notice how much until you actually slow down for a second. You can be thinking about what happened, what's happening now, what you're trying to figure out, what you want to happen next, and all of those thoughts can kind of sit on top of each other. But somewhere in all of that, there are certain things that you know, things that don't require you to sit there and debate them with yourself. You just know. And I think those things become a little easier to recognize when you stop trying to answer every thought that comes into your mind and just pay attention to what keeps remaining. Because when everything else breaks down, when things change, when something doesn't happen the way you expected it to, you still have those things that are true to you. If all else breaks down, you know what's true. You know what you've been working toward, what you've been putting your time into, giving your effort to. And nobody else really has to understand that the same way you do, because you know the work that has happened behind the scenes. You know the thoughts that have gone into it, the days where you kept putting something into it. And I think that's what makes another day mean something, because another day isn't just another day. It gives you another attempt, and that attempt doesn't have to look exactly like the one before it. There can be something different about coming back to something after already experiencing it once. There's more understanding there now, more awareness of what it actually takes, maybe even a better sense of what deserves more attention and what doesn't. So another attempt can carry more than just the desire to try again. It can carry everything that came before it. And when enough of those attempts start sitting behind the work, eventually the work starts speaking for itself. That's where an opportunity can feel different, because there's a point where what's being received can be traced back to what's already been put in. An opportunity not given, but received through effort. There's something about being able to look at an opportunity and recognize the work behind it, not just the moment itself, but everything that led into it, the time, the consistency, the attempts that nobody else necessarily saw. All of that can exist behind one moment where something finally opens up. And when that happens, there's no need to separate the opportunity from the work that came before it. They belong together. The opportunity becomes another part of evidence of what happens when something continues to receive effort. And maybe that's why it's important to actually acknowledge the work instead of immediately looking past it. Because the work doesn't just create opportunities, it also reveals what's been there to begin with. There's a ceiling that can be felt before it's ever reached, a sense that there's more available, more that can come out, more that hasn't been touched yet. And sometimes knowing that is enough to change the way the next step feels. There's no need to force the entire ceiling into one moment. There's no need to rush toward it just because it's visible. Sometimes it's better to understand where the effort has brought things so far, and then let that understanding settle. Because there's a point where continuing to push isn't necessarily what's needed. There's a point where the next move is a pivot. Pivot. Slow down. But don't stop. Not because you're finished. Not because you're giving up. Just slow down enough to hear yourself again. Sometimes you can get so caught up in trying to keep everything going that you don't give yourself the space to understand what you're actually experiencing. And when you slow down, you can recognize what's been going through your mind. You can recognize what's still true to you, the work you've already done. You can recognize what's in you. And maybe you realize that slowing down doesn't take you away from where you're going. It gives you a chance to reconnect with yourself before you continue. Because sometimes you don't need to become somebody new. You just need to reintroduce yourself to who you are now. Look at yourself again, not from where you were, but from where you are now. Because you've changed through everything you've experienced, the attempts, the effort, the things that worked, the things that didn't, the opportunities you've received, the moments where everything else seemed to break down. All of it has given you something to recognize within yourself, because some things don't need to get outside of you for them to be real. Some things can remain in you. Remains in me and doesn't get outside of me. Say it with me. I start on track. I stay on track. I remain on track. And again, I start on track. I stay on track. I remain on track. I hope you found something worth taking with you today. Maybe a new perspective, maybe a moment to pause and reflect. Thank you for being here and sharing this space with me. Your presence matters. If this resonated with you, share it with someone you care about, because growth spreads through connection. I'll see you next time. Take care of yourself, stay grounded, and as always, be safe.